Hey YouTube, this is Robinarts1 here, and I'm here to review Flash Episode 2, uh, Flashes of Two Worlds. So this episode basically introduces Jay Garrick and who his, and what his world is like. We bring one of, Flash from Earth 2, and one of his villains called Speed Demon, and basically Speed Demon has been bringing in all of these different villains from Earth 2. So he's the one behind Atom Smasher. He brought this villain called Sand Demon, who is the main villain of the of this episode. And basically, Sand Demon basically is going against the Flash. Meanwhile, we have Flash really trying to deal with who Jay Garrick is, and he struggles with the sort of mentor role that Jay Garrick is offering, because he's afraid that Jay Garrick will be like Harrison Wells. We're also introduced to a new character called Paddy Spivot, who basically wants to join Detective West's task force. So we have many different intriguing elements in this episode, which are pretty cool. First off, I loved the references that that this episode made to the DC multiverse. We got a mention of the 52 universes. We got a mention of Earth 3, Earth 2, Earth 1. We got a few we got sort of the Infinite Crisis kind of references. We also got a very cool iconic cover that actually introduced the Scarlet Speedster and the Crimson Comet, aka Flash and Earth 2 Flash, coming towards Paddy Spivot. Just some great little references that is really helping to build up this show, and also this universe as well. Seeing all of these different iconic aspects of the DC multiverse really gives this show such a great interesting moment. I also really enjoyed seeing what Earth 2 is like. Earth 2 is kind of like this steampunk-esque world similar to Tomorrowland, and it just has this really interesting world to it. And we also got to see a Harrison Wells who might be from Earth 2, and it's interesting that possibly in every single world related to the show, there might be a Harrison Wells, and it's interesting to see what kind of aspect that brings up. I think Flash dealing with mentors is a really interesting thing to touch upon, because Jay Garrick is really one of the best mentors that you could have. I really hope that Jay Garrick gets back his powers, because it would be really, really cool to actually see both the Flash and this Earth 2 Flash having their speed powers. For so far, I really, really liked Jay Garrick. I really liked Jay Garrick's role, the actor's role as Jay Garrick. He did a really, really good job. And I also like the fact that Flash sort of gained a new ability. And it's really interesting that all of these mentors like Harrison Wells and Jay Garrick are actually evolving Flash as a superhero and as a character. And unlike with Arrow, where Arrow learned his skills and abilities in those 5 years, we are actually seeing Flash explore those within his own 5 years. So it just brings a really interesting development for the Flash as a character as he's building himself up to become the iconic character that we know from the comic books. So just a really, really great episode, really. I also really enjoyed Paddy Spivot as well. I think she's going to be a very interesting character. And the one thing I do like about this show is how they develop Flash's relationships with people. So Barry's able to connect to people quite well. And we also got a reference to Arrow, by the way, from episode 1. Other than that, yeah, there's really not an awful lot I need to say about this episode, apart from it was a good, interesting episode, and yeah, it's really, really intriguing. I'm definitely interested in seeing the Cisco storyline, because Cisco's beginning to explore his powers a bit more, so definitely very, very interesting episode, and I look forward to reviewing the next one next week. Do stay tuned for Arrow, as that will be the next review, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be done over either on Friday or the course of the weekend. Bye.